So friends, welcome back to our Thinking Thursday. And today we have an amazing speaker, and I'm very grateful that he has agreed to speak on an amazing topic which is close to his heart. We have Captain Unni Krishnanji from the Indian Navy. He joined the Indian Navy as a young person, obviously a young cadet in 1988. By profession, or rather by, what should I say, by kind of qualification, he has done his electrical engineering and then after that he has been responsible for generation, communication, networks and weapon systems in the recently commissioned aircraft carrier INS Vikrant for the last 10 years. Besides holding post-graduation in defense studies, he also holds an MBA. His spiritual journey commenced in 2003 when he was introduced into Sukyo Mahikari, a Japanese spiritual practice. He was actively practicing pranic healing, and also he has done or undergone a course in fingerprinting analysis, where you can analyze the human innate quotient of a person. He is currently posted as a commanding officer of 3 Kerala Naval Unit NCC at Kollam, Kerala. He participated in the past life regression course that he concluded in December, which he feels was an inner child, or rather a inner calling. And he, of course, participated in the workshop and the retreat fully, completely. And I'm really glad that I feel so proud that people from the defense forces are actually coming and getting trained in past life regression therapy. It really makes me feel very, very happy. So, Unni Krishnanji, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. I should thank ma'am. Ma'am, there are two things before I came for that BLR course. I was one among the few who actually didn't know you. I didn't know that, you had so much of this thing. I never knew anything. In fact, I just prayed. Somebody gave me the link. I joined and I just prayed that whether this course is going to have some impact. And I got a very positive vibe about it. So I just said, come whatever maybe. There were a lot of problems in my office. Like I just said, I will be out from 1 to 7, whatever it is. First of all, ma'am, it has been one of the 7 wonderful days. And the experience which I had, I don't know how to explain that. And more than that, I never even knew, when you asked me whether I can give a talk on Talking Thursdays, I never even knew what was Talking Thursday, but I said yes. And thank you very much for that also. So before I start, let me have just one simple prayer, because in Sukyo Mahikari, we pray to the Supreme God, rather Brahman. So I'll just make a silent prayer and from there we'll start. Please permit me to start this presentation on Sukyo Mahikari humbly. Request your divine guidance and divine policy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Suresh Sama. Thank you very much. So I'll just, before I start, I just want to Mahikari is not about monologues. Rather, it's a spiritual practice that I have been telling. So I would request that it has to be an interactive sessions. People can ask as many questions as possible. I will just take 1 or 2 minutes before I get into the presentation. Actually, the person who came first into Mahikari was not me, my wife. She's here. My wife, Shagos, Dr. Shagos is here. Shagos, can you just say hi so that everybody can know you?
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
So my wife is there. So she was the first person who actually came into Mahikari. It was in 2003. I was 33, and we were in Delhi for almost 5-6 years. We got married, and 10 years we were not having children. So we were planning to move to Bombay, was basically because for getting into an IVF, for doing all the IVF thing. And so I moved to Bombay, and that time she had come to Kollam, the place where I'm right now, for the post-graduation. And she came here the next day onwards, she was talking about all the spiritual activities. I didn't know what to do. And I was trying my level best to actually, get her away from this, because here we are supposed to come for IVF. We are supposed to be more physically active and produce a baby. And here my wife is actually telling about all spiritual things, and I didn't know what to do. So my intention initially was to ensure that she's out of this particular spiritual practice. I didn't know what is this. So I did everything. And I only had the defense background, so I was not ready. I was spiritual, but I believed in God, but I didn't know what to do. So I and her started this debates, and that time this mobile was also like, there was no mobile phone. It was that telephone, and you had to wait till 10 o'clock to get the quarter rate and then call. And the only topic she was talking was this. I was absolutely worried. So it went on for almost 4 months. So we had fights, tremendous fights. I have criticized Mahikari in all possible ways. So I start with this basically to state that please go ahead and ask any question. Don't, because I told something, you don't have to believe it, or you don't have to, you can ask anything what you want, because I have done it and I have criticized it. My entire concentration was to actually ensure that my wife is out of this. And that led me to a wonderful journey. So that is what I am basically trying to share with you. I have now structured this lecture. Ma'am, I can go to the next screen, ma'am. How do I go to the next screen?
Yeah. I will move for you. So
Next
I'll
screen
just
is.
slide. Yeah.
I've structured this.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Yes, I've structured this talk into 3 parts. One is what is the practice of Sukya Mahikari. Then there is a question and answer. Even in between, if you want to ask, that is fine. Then after that, I'll be talking about my experiences with Sukya Mahikari. And finally, the takeaways, what I have achieved after all these years. Next. So what is actually Sukya Mahikari? What is it? So Sukya Mahikari is actually a practice for spiritual purification, along with the practice of the universal principles such as gratitude, acceptance, and humility in all the aspects of your life. What does it aim? It aims to promote.
Sorry to interrupt you, Uniji. Please make everyone muted.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I have to mute everybody, but if people can mute themselves, it's a great thing. Unniji, you will have to unmute again and speak, because I have muted everyone.
I have unmuted, ma'am. I have unmuted. Okay. So I think everybody can hear me. Okay. So it aims to promote peace and harmony in society. Now, Sukyo, the word means universal principles, and Mahikari means true light. So presently, Sukya Mahikari is present in more than 100 countries. Now, the question comes, what is spiritual purification? Now, spiritual purification means to purify the spiritual realm, whether it's a human being, whether it's a place, or whether it's any objects. When the spiritual realm is purified, automatically the astral realm and the physical realm is automatically purified. So now the question will come, how do you do spiritual purification? Now, for that, Mahikari says, you have to practice the art of true light. So now, automatically the question will come, what is the art of true light? Now, it is a method of radiating true light from the palm of your hand. Now, this true light comes from an ultra high dimension. Now, this was something which was the esoteric spiritual method that Buddha and Jesus used to miraculously help people. It was practiced only by a very few select saints and sages in the past. Now, this can be practiced by anyone who desires. Now, how does it look like? See, this is how it looks like. physically, when you see, this is how it looks like. Now, next one will give you slightly more understanding. Now, if you can see, you can see a performer or the person who is giving light and a receiver. Now you can see the person who is giving the light has called a holy pendant. In Mahikari, it is called omitama. It is a Japanese term for holy pendant. Now, from the high dimensional world, or from the supreme God as we call it, the light actually comes, and with the help of the holy pendant, he is able to radiate this true light. And this true light is given to the main soul. Now, by doing this activity, his main soul is purified. Now, physically, how does it look like? How a person look like? That next will actually give you, this is how. What you see on the screen is the dojo or the Mahikari center. All the Mahikari centers look very similar to this. So what you see in the middle is something called the scroll. It is a divine scroll, and almost all the centers around the world looks similar. Now here you can see a person is turning around and basically receiving light. The first picture you saw was basically they were receiving the main soul. Other than the main soul, there are, see here you were receiving in the main soul. Other than that, you can see the person is now receiving in the back of the head, and there are 27 points are defined in the body where you can receive light. The main point is the main soul, which is the 10 minutes where you will be giving light. Then thereafter, this light giving exercise can go totally up to 50 minutes. So the maximum time where a person can receive a light in a day is 50 minutes. There are reasons for that. But as of now, this is how it is structured. Now, I'll just get, the next picture will show you some more, a lot of people, various across the dojos and around the world, basically giving true light and various practices which are going on. So I have put pictures around the world. So this is how it is actually done. And this is how the true light practice is done. Now, what happens when you receive true light? Ma'am, the next slide. What happens when you receive true light? When you receive true light, you achieve true happiness. So now, when I say true happiness, naturally the question will come, what is true happiness? So there are three essential components for true happiness. One is health, harmony, and prosperity. If we achieve these three, then we can achieve true happiness. An extremely effective method to achieve health, harmony, and prosperity is to purify one's spiritual aspect with the light. When you actually are spiritually purifying, then you achieve this true happiness by purification of these three processes. So now, what is health? What is health? See, everything in the universe was originally created free of disorders. Human beings were created free of fatigue and disease in a state of perfect health. Over a period, you can find, our soul has been contaminated, and when your soul is contaminated, your bodies have been contaminated. So when you are actually purifying the spiritual aspect with the light, you restore your health and come to live a life free of health disorders. So now, what is harmony? The first I have talked now. Now, what is harmony? Harmony is the universe was created in accordance with the plan. That is, the God's wish was to create a heaven-like civilization on earth. We can help achieve this plan by cultivating love and harmony in our hearts, which will free the world of hatred and antagonism. Now, when you are purifying your spiritual aspect with the light and nurturing a heart of forgiveness and compassion, then you will find this will help you to attain happiness and also will help, everlasting peace to the world. Now, the last one is what is prosperity. We don't need a high income to live a life of prosperity. Prosperity means, you're living a fulfilled life. You avoid wasteful expenditure. You're not filled with anxiety about the present or the future. Now, a truly prosperous life is, you're free of attachment to materials. You're filled with gratitude for the blessings of life which has been given to you. And it is also an altruistic life that seeks to benefit the world and others. Like You want to help the world, help others, a life that will open the door to a bright future. So now when I told all these things, physically, like I told the theoretical part now, what do you see in physical realm? How do you see this? Now, whatever I'm showing in the slide is actually what I have seen happen in the physical realm. Now, you may notice welcome improvements in all aspects of your life. In my life, this was noticed by me in the initial stage. When I'm sharing my experience, I'll tell you this. Now, many people suffering from illness have noticed improvement in the condition by receiving light. Even people with chronic diseases have been able to recover and steadily gain greater vitality. People struggling financially have become able to achieve lives of comfort. People with interpersonal relations in the workplace, they have found that is getting resolved. Troubled businesses have become able to run smoothly. Now, spouses in conflict, relationship issues, where they have come, now they have resolved that and they have come to see eye to eye. Healthy relationships between parents and children have been achieved. Now, cases of truancy, bullying, domestic violence, juvenile delinquency, all this you can find in the physical realm. This is being translated. Now, is that it? No. Not only does the light exert a positive influence on human beings, but it can be radiated to anything. Ma'am, next slide. The question which many people will ask is, it is only for human beings? No. You can actually radiate light to anything. Like the light has allowed people to witness things that defy imagination. The recovery of critically ill animals, you can purify the spiritual realm of animals, revival of missions that had stopped working, the growth of crops beyond expectation. There are many, and these are all like I have been a part of many of these miracles. I've seen it physically. Initially, as I was telling in my the first time when I was coming into Mahikari, I always used to criticize. I said that this is all bakwas. I said nahi hota. And I had criticized everything. So when you are going through this, you can ask any questions and I can answer that. There have been even cases in which property and buildings where light was. This is something which has happened in this particular last case, especially that tsunami which had happened in Japan and all. There were so many cases which had come, and it is recorded. It is still available in the YouTube and all. You know, this that had struck, disaster has been struck, but wherever this light has been received, or rather the centers were there. What miracle people doesn't know, but it has avoided that area, and then the other area has already can face all the disasters. So this is one thing which even you can see even in YouTube. There's all these records are there. Now the question which everybody then will ask is that how does this happen? So again, you give light, and then how does this happen? See, I will just explain to you in a very simple way. See, what is the problem what everybody undergoes in their life? You either have a financial problem, or you have a physical problem, or you have relationship issues. Now, if you see, the human life is a mixture of all these things. Now, if we are able to polish these three aspects, you will find suddenly one by one is going, and you are able to get a life of true happiness. Now, I will explain this in a more simpler fashion. Imagine your soul is like a bright piece of gold at its origin. It is shining absolutely brilliantly. Now, what you did, you took this into a sewage system, and you took it out for a long time. And then when you took it out, you say there are a lot of muck inside that. You know, it is covered with some sort of various tinges and black in color and all. So what you did, you took a wire gauze and you started rubbing that. Now you started rubbing in such a way that this golden piece is basically now getting its shine back. But imagine each stroke is actually creating a pain for this piece of gold. So what happens here? You are basically achieving a cleanliness, or you are achieving the original shine of the gold piece by a process of cleansing, which in fact is creating a pain for you. Now, in our case, what is cleansing? We have financial problems, we have relationship problems, we have health problems, or we are getting everything like this. Everything is actually happening. Now, if you in villages and all, they talk like if you are having chicken pox, Mataji has blessed you and all. But actually, is Mataji blessing you? No. What is actually happening is in the 21 days, you are actually undergoing a lot of cleansing, physical, emotional, relation, all this cleansing is actually happening. So what is actually happening? Your soul is becoming more brighter. When your soul is brighter, then automatically your spiritual level is up. But how do you make a normal person understand that your spiritual level has gone up? So it is easy to say that, okay, see, now Mataji has blessed you, so now you are reached some position. So this particular process is actually what is done in Mahikari. Now what happens? The initial process which I told you is basically the cleansing through the process of problem, like you are going through the problem. Now imagine, instead of that, I am now pouring a liquid, a solution on top of this particular gold piece. Now, if this solution is able to cleanse this particular gold piece and is able to get the old radiation back, then you have cleansed, you have achieved your goal, you have achieved the cleansing process of your soul by this particular solution. Now, what is the solution? This solution is what you can say like art of true light. When the true light is basically given to you, it basically cleanses your thing. Now, the question will come, how many times you have to do it? Now, that depends on what is the amount of muck is there in your soul. Imagine if it is like dust, all you have to do is that poof, then it will go away. Now, if it is like, imagine if it is not, if it is something like a mud type of thing, then you might have to apply a little bit of force. But if it is something like a tar, then you have to literally apply heat, then slowly you have to remove it. So the amount of cleansing which you have to apply depends on the amount of muck or the spiritual impurities which basically you are having it. Now, let me take you third condition. Third condition is that somebody is already undergoing this phase. That means he's undergoing a cleansing. He's undergoing a physical problem. He's undergoing a mental problem. And that is the time when he's receiving the light, or rather he's receiving the solution and pouring in top of it. Now, what is happening is that then the cleansing is becoming easier and smoother. That means if the person was about to, is able to get out of the problem, but let's say in 20 days, you are finding he's able to get out of the problem within 3 days or 4 days. And without much of a problem, he's able to come out of it. So this is how, when Mahikari, this is how, like whatever you have, the slides which I showed you, this is how it is achieved. One more example, I'll just tell you this how, so that you're able to correlate with how it is achieved. See, imagine you have cleansed your body thoroughly. Your body is completely washed and absolutely neat. You're not wearing any clothes. Now you go and roll in the mud. So your entire body is covered with mud now. Now what do? You take a brand new dress and you're putting the dress on. So what is actually happening? The dress absorbs all the muck which is there in your body, and you start walking. So you're walking. You walk for a long time, and after some time you feel that this dress is of no use. You change the dress and you take a brand new another dress and put it. So what has actually happened here? This dress has taken a lot of your muck and has given it away. And a new dress, which is basically is going to absorb the rest of your muck. So you keep changing, let's say 5 or 6 dresses or 10 dresses, and finally your body is almost clean of all the muck. This is exactly happening with the life. Like your soul is like the body which I told you, and the dress is like actually your body. So our body is absorbing what is the spiritual condition of our soul. If our soul is brilliant, then your body will also be brilliant. You might be wondering, like a child who is basically born as a blind child, what the child has done, you don't know why the child has been born as blind or with some problems. Because if the soul, the quality of the impurity is that much high, when that soul takes over the body, then you will find that same thing is reflected on the body. So here, how does Mahikari apply? Now, Mahikari applies something like this. You take a hose and you put it inside and start washing it. So what happens? Your inside portion is washed. Now, this dress, which was basically would have got let's say, dirty within 100 feet or 200 feet or 300 feet, now you can wear it for kilometers more because you have already started cleansing it. Now, again, the amount what you want to cleanse, again, depends on what is the type of or the amount of impurity which you are having. So this is how light actually purifies your spiritual realm. And when your spiritual realm is purified, automatically the astral cells and the physical cells automatically take over it. And you will find that things are getting resolved. This is how light works. Now, same thing I have told in a different way, but I explained it in a slightly better way so that you are able to understand it much faster. Now, the general question which people used to ask me is Mahikari a healing practice like pranic healing, Reiki, etc. See, Mahikari is not a healing practice, and it never encourages to be used solely for the purpose of healing. Mahikari tells it wholly and solely focus on the spiritual purification. But what you find is healing happens as a byproduct. This I can solidly tell you, I've seen personally, this healing happens. But we have been time and again, which has been told to us from the Mahikari people, basically telling that, please don't tell it is like, it is not like I have a headache, you come and receive, light. It is not like that. You come here to purify your spiritual realm. When you come to purify your spiritual realm, you will find when your spiritual realm is purified, automatically the physical realm automatically will get purified. So you will find a lot of miracles. That depends on your karmic relationship with God. So you will find a lot of things changing. It might be a financial change in your house. It might be a relationship, like people have not been talking for ages. They come and receive light. And when they go back, they found that person is talking to him as if nothing has happened. So there are many things can happen, but Mahikari very clearly tells, please don't, this is not how we want to profess. It is not a healing methodology, but healing happens as a byproduct. Now, the question comes, can anyone receive true light? Oh yes, anybody can receive true light. There is no preconditions. There is nothing like you're a vegetarian, non-vegetarian, smoker, alcoholic, you are gay, lesbian, racism, nothing. You are following this religion, that religion, no problem. Anybody can receive light. There is no conditions for receiving true light. If you want to give light, so I will just take two conditions here. One is that receiving light. Now, receiving light means the maximum time I can receive is for 50 minutes, of which the first 10 minutes you receive this main soul. That is a highly spiritual point. The rest 40 minutes you have various points in your body by which your toxins are released. Now, what it does is that it releases your toxins, it comes through an excretory system, and basically you excrete it out. Now, that 15 minutes has been devised in such a way that your body, if it starts releasing toxins at a very high level, then your body may not be able to take it. So, Mahikari tells not more than 15 minutes in a day. So, this, when you receive light, it is spiritual purification. But let's say, you want to give light. You are seeing that picture initially where somebody is giving light and the other person is receiving. The first part I talked is about the receiver. Now let us say you want to become a person who wants to give light. Then there are certain conditions. It is not that when you are basically when you want to practice the art of true light, then there are various conditions, and then it requires like your innermost attitude. You are going with no preconditions and a lot of other things, and there is no limit. You can keep in a day. I can give light to 100 people. It doesn't matter. But receiving part is only for 50 minutes. Receiving means spiritual purification, and giving means spiritual elevation. So a person, you need both. Like I receive light for spiritual purification, and I give light for spiritual elevation. So these two things happen simultaneously. Now in India, where all you can actually receive light, there are various centers across India. I've just listed down. More than that, there are some more centers are there, which is not big centers, but these are relatively bigger centers. The biggest center is in Mumbai. Then the next biggest center is in Kochi. Rest of the centers are basically smaller centers. In India, there is around 7,000 to 8,000 Mahikari members are there. And when you say Mahikari member means you wear a divine locket. It's called the Omitama, which I showed in the first picture. So these people can give light. So because of that divine pendant, you can actually radiate true light. For receiving true light, it is not necessary that you have to go to the center. Like I can give light to anybody at any place. For that, I need to have the Omitama, the holy pendant. But these centers, if you just go, you can just walk into any of the centers. There is just say that I want to receive light, then people will be more than happy to actually give you light. The next question which people will be asking is there any payment for receiving light? No. Receiving light does not involve any money and can be taken by any individual as many times he or she desires without any obligation for anyone who is giving you true light. This is why I'm asking that, because people feel, you see, I went to the center twice, I went to the center thrice, there was one person who was giving me light. He has spent almost like, 50 minutes each time, and he has spent almost like 150 minutes for me. Isn't it, too much? So I feel obliged to him. No. See, when somebody comes in the center, like if I'm sitting in the center and if somebody comes, then my mind goes out with a lot of gratitude that I'm permitted to give light to that particular person. So the innermost attitudes for the people who are sitting in the center is that you are welcoming the person. And it is more than, because the process of, like I told you, when you become a person who's giving light, you are holding hand in hand with God for giving true light, which will help to purify the spiritual realm of a person. And if I'm able to purify 10 people, or rather if I'm able to purify entire community, that community you can find is more harmonious. And you will find all sort of stresses, you can find, people fighting over issues, all this started reducing. So anybody who's coming and receiving light, the people who are sitting in the center will always have an open heart. And they will always say, I am more grateful for you to permitting me to give you light. It is not the other way around, like what you think. And this is not a healing practice. So it's totally different. So there is no conditions there's only one, it's not a condition. One thing which you have to, when you are going to a center, like I've given you the list of centers. Now that center, when you go, you please carry a clean socks, not a new socks, clean socks, because it's a Japanese practice. All these dojos or the centers, basically, when you go inside the dojo, you wear socks. And when you come out, you remove the socks. So that is the only thing. And that is only when you go to the dojo. Otherwise, there is no condition. Anybody can receive light at any time, any place. There's nothing like, even whether ladies, if you are in periods also, you can receive light or give light. There is no problem like that.
Niji, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So how much light, like one time receiving light is enough for a person to heal? Or
No, that is what exactly. See, it is something like this. Priyanka, your soul has got a certain amount of karmic impurities, which you and God knows. I am just a tool. I'm a tool God is using. And when I give light, I really do not know. Suppose you imagine your impurity is something like a dust. Now, dust means all I have to do is just blow. Means I can easily cut. But if it is like your karmic impurities over lifetime, 10,000 lifetimes has been something like so thick, then one time you will cleanse a little bit, second time little more. It's something like this. Imagine a pond. It is full of muck, and you have a small mug, and you are told to now cleanse that particular thing. So you can imagine. But imagine if it is a small pool and one mug is there, and then usme thoda sa pani hai, then it's easy for you to cleanse. So that number of times depends solely on what your impurities are. But you will find difference. That is what I'm saying. Yeah, like in my personal life, when I'm talking experiences, I will tell you what are the experiences which I had. I will request anybody questions, because it is easy to understand Mahikari by questioning me.
so do we have to, do you also do you teach, or you just give the light?
I do, I receive also, and I give also. Like as I told you, when you receive light, it is spiritual purification, and when you give light, it is spiritual elevation. So it is something, it's up to me. Like if somebody decides I only want to purify it, I don't want elevation, no problem.
To teach, do you teach how to give light, or is there like a way to learn it?
there is something like if you want to join Mahikari, then there is a 3-day initiation course happens. In that course, you are basically taught how to actually do. So it is not that very complicated, like anybody, like normal household ladies, basically who doesn't even know the language properly, they can give light. So that is what the beauty of this, of Mahikari is like that. Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yes, I think.
excuse me, sir. I just
Yeah.
want to know
Yeah.
that how long does it take? First, I have to get myself purified and then I can give light, isn't it?
Ma'am, there is nothing like that. See,
Okay.
there is, you can see, we cannot, because we do not have a meter to tell that what is my impurity level. We do not know how many janams you have taken now, or what is your total impurity level. So both these things go hand in hand. See, suppose you have a lot of problems, then they generally tell you to basically give light also, because giving light, I can give, like, for example, I can start giving a light from morning till evening. So that much of spiritual elevation helps you to overcome your impurities. So there is no need that you have to first get purified to get into this thing. I just told that what happens when you actually purify, when you receive light, that you get purified. There is no condition like you have to only get purified, then only you can get it. Nothing like that. Both go hand in hand.
And it takes only 3 days to learn that?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
it is-
Yes, ma'am. That is the beauty of this. It only takes 3 days. And I was also amazed to see that results, that with the 3 days, how they are able to do that. And when I joined also, I was like a skeptical guy. Ye kaam karta hai nahi. So I can confidently tell yes.
So 3 days we have to stay there.
No, you don't have to stay there. You go in the morning. The classes are from 9 o'clock. It starts and it finishes by around 3:30. And on the 3rd day, you will be given this pendant. And when you receive the pendant, from that time onwards, you can give light.
So after wearing pendant, we have to have some restrictions. Some restrictions.
There is no restriction on any food or anything. The restriction is that, let's say, this should not get wet. Like every time I wear a holy pendant, it looks like something like this. See, I have a holy pendant which I carry always. This is 24/365. And the only problem here is that you have to ensure that when you are taking a bath, you have to, or when you get wet, or you go for swimming, or or X-ray, all these things, then you have to keep it in a very safe place. So there is a slight that takes a little bit of this thing. And when you're traveling, like I have traveled in the ship, I travel in the boat, in helicopters, aeroplane, everywhere. So there is a methodology how to take care. So that process, you have to be very careful. There is if it gets, there is a condition which they tell that it should not be kept in that place. If you do that, then it becomes impure. Then there's a big process for that. So that is the only condition. There is no condition like where you are, what you are, nothing, no vegetarian, non-vegetarian, you are a smoker, you are a drunkard, you are no condition.
So what you just like a self-cleansing. It's aapne bataya to give and to receive.
Yes. You can do like, for example, other than this point, other than the main soul, I can give myself any point and there is no restriction. So I do, like if I'm alone and I don't have anybody else to give me light, then I can do that alone, except for this point. This point I have to have somebody giving to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, could you tell something about the history of this science?
Yes,
Like
yes, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So, the other part, that's why I said, because now I'm going to talk. Pardon?
Unniji, before that, just related to the earlier topic,
Yeah.
is it only physically both receiver and the giver has to be present? It cannot be given virtually, or it can be?
It cannot be given virtually. It is something like the difference, like I have learned pranic healing. Now, why I went into pranic healing basically because during the COVID season, you are virtually out of contact with everybody. My mother was in Singapore and she was having a lot of problem. And Mahikari, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, it cannot be given a distant healing is not, this method doesn't involve a distance healing. You have to be physically present. Like I
Okay.
can give only to one person at a time. I can't give like a 2% or something like that, 1-to-1.
Okay. Thank you.
But
Anybody
I
else?
must say, Uniji, it was a fantastic thing. I have experienced it.
Yeah, okay. Preeti is, I was fortunate or rather blessed to be giving to Preeti, and Preeti can vouch for that.
I feel very light and very relaxed. I just can't explain what actually some energies are flowing.
Thank you. No, it's like I told you, like it's coming from a higher dimension that is beyond us. I'm just a tool, and you are permitted to experience that, because each experience is different. When I'm coming to my experiences, I will talk to you about that.
Thank you.
This is the founder of.
Hello.
Anybody else, ma'am? Please.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we do this practice, like when we are giving the healing,
Yes, ma'am.
we are actually removing the impurities for the person, and that is like we are helping to remove the karmic impurities.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I've heard that it is not good to play with others' karmic,
Yes, ma'am.
structure,
Yes.
and it may do harm to you. So in that context, how do we understand this?
Ma'am, here what basically see, Mahikari basically, there is a reason by which Mahikari was established. It is not like when this 3-day course is basically taken, it is basically tells why Mahikari is there and how long. It might be there for maximum 100 years or something like, because there's a divine plan, and in the divine plan there is a transition period. See, when you are correlating with all our Treta Yuga, all the yugs, so Mahikari talks the transition phase, and during the transition phase you require a higher level of purification. When you say purification, means it's something like this. Like if I'm talking about Satya Yuga, everybody has to be absolutely purified. Now, so you have a age where you have a lot of impurities and a lot of muck which is there. So how do you do that? So this is a transition phase. In the transition phase, God has allowed certain things to be actually done. This is not talking about, it is not a healing process. That's what I was telling. We are not healing a person. All I'm doing is that the divine light, which is basically coming, and all this has been done by the divine revelations, by the founder, which you see in the screen. Now he is the founder for that. He received the divine revelations. Now, based on the revelations, basically he was told, you raise the hand. So he never knew what is it. He was like a commoner, and suddenly one day he started getting these messages. He thought initially it was not all wrong. Then he started doing things, and all this, whatever we are saying. See here, the same question which you asked, I did the same thing, but practically I will tell you that is not what happens. Your life takes a absolutely U-turn, because here you are going to help a person. You are erasing the karmic impurities as defined by what God is basically telling you. So practically I have seen, and here you are not taking anything from that person. You're not taking any money, you're not taking anything. You're basically doing free of service. And like if I'm giving light to 10 people, so 10 into 50, that means 500 minutes. I'm sitting there with absolutely with the altruistic love and with gratitude, and helping that person at taking out his karmic impurities. And by that, you are able to help create a harmony civilization. Now, the harmony civilization is the need of the hour, because of this transition of the faith, transition in this divine plan. Because of that, certain people have been given. And that is the reason, see, Mahikari has got a mission. And that is the reason. So what you say is like healing, because I do pranic healing also. This question comes into my mind. Like somebody's like, I don't heal cancer patients. Because Mahikari very clearly tells that cancer is a spiritual impurity. Because of that body. So I don't, healing I don't do. But I can give a light, because it is not healing. Here I am not healing. I am just a tool. And the Umitama is the one which is basically connecting the lights. I am just a tool. And whatever that person's karma is directly linked to God. I am just a tool connecting him. I am not taking anything in return.
No, it's really interesting actually. First of all, thank you, because it's a completely new topic and new thing for me. So to introduce this to us, And the question actually I was to ask you is that only,
Yes, ma'am.
because when we have heard of, our sages, or, Sri Ramana Maharshi, so for example, so we have heard that, in order to take somebody's karma, they would take it on themselves
Yes, ma'am.
by, undergoing certain physical
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
issues.
Yes,
So in that context, like, how is it? But it's such an interesting thing that you said that, yeah, we are undergoing this yoga change, transition
ma'am.
from one to the next. And
Yes,
in that, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I'm looking forward for now this history.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Please
Now,
go ahead. Thank you so much.
anybody else? Otherwise, I'll go to the next part of this lecture.
There are many questions in the chat. People are asking.
Oh, ma'am, sorry, I am not
And,
able to.
Ah.
Actually,
Okay. So
uh,
we'll just
we
go
can read.
through the questions in the chat quickly. Shakuntala and I will just go through it quickly and pick up something interesting. Okay, now there is a question here, Unniji. Is there any age limit to receive light?
Age limit? No, ma'am. No age limit. It can be received. Like, for example, my son was receiving light from the time he was conceived.
Can
So-
you explain more about this?
Yes, ma'am. I
Receiving
will.
light when he was conceived? Yeah, please.
Ma'am, I will be sharing my experience, ma'am. This after
Okay,
this,
okay.
I'll be sharing my experience, and that time I'll tell you, ma'am. I will tell you that.
Okay, so Dr. Shagos is asking, it's taught only by those who are called doshi.
No, she's the answering, ma'am.
It's not a question, yeah.
She was
She's
answering.
answering. Huh.
Okay,
Something
Shruti
more
is asking where can I receive these healings? I'm from Gurgaon. So is there a center out there in
Where, ma'am? Where, ma'am?
Gurgaon.
Gurgaon is, I think it is there. Gurgaon, yes, it is there.
I
Uh,
think they
Gurgaon is there.
can definitely go to your
Uh-huh.
website and have a look at the centers, right?
And
Puneet, there must be a website somewhere.
Ma'am, there is a website, but what is actually, I'll tell you, see, website is basically telling about the main centers. The sub centers are there, sub centers and sub centers are there. So that may not be reflected because see, each dojo is something like Okyomisho, Jun Dojo, Chu Dojo. They have a grading for each dojo. So they only put certain dojos because world across there are almost like 10,000 dojos around the world. So they don't put everything. So, but anybody who is interested can, my number is there. I will give you my number. Please, this thing, wherever you are, definitely I will find out who is within the vicinity, and I can always get in somebody connect to you. That can be done.
That's what.
Unni is on our group and Thinking Thursday group. So everybody from Thinking Thursday, if you want any more information about the centers, just message on the group and Unniji will answer. No problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let us continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Sanjay?
So,
Oniji, I want to ask one more last question.
yes, please.
जब हम ये लाइट देते हैं
Yeah.
तो आपने कहा हम कार्मिक्स क्लियर करते हैं तो
Yeah.
what about the protection who will give? Is there any thing which will disharm or harm?
I didn't get you that question. I mean, harm whom?
जो दे रहा है.
No. See, what is actually happening is that, see, there is that divine pentant is there, but that pentant is very powerful.
Okay, it's a protection.
It is a protection it is it's a very high dimensional thing. That's why I said, the experiences are there, like how Omitama protects you. I never move anywhere. Without this Omitama. Anywhere I come, I have my Omitama around my neck. So the recent the problems like people like who is basically a person who wears Omitama, we have a problem at the airport because sometimes you get checked for this. So if you get checked for this and Omitama is not supposed to be X-ray, so there is a little bit of issue that we have been given certain guidance how to go about it. That is only when you are taking it, then otherwise. But Omitama gives you an extraordinary protection. Many experiences I had in my entire life. I've my own eyes. So I will share. I'll when I talk, I'll share. So can we go into the next topic?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So this is the founder. His name is he's it's called Tsukunishi-sama. That is the name which has been given as the holy name. But ma'am, if you can go to the next slide, that is where the history is written. See, his actual name is Kotama Okada. And he was born in 1901. Now, he's got a very interesting story. He was a military man. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Japanese Imperial Army. He participated in the World War. He had an injury. And he was told that he had only 3 years to live. Now, that is a time, and he was told by the doctor, certified that you will only have 3 years to live. And that is a time when he started basically getting into the asking, like, the creator himself has to have a reason. Like, if you have a problem, like he started thinking like a watch mechanic. You go to a watch mechanic when you have a problem with the watch. You go to a cobbler when you have a problem with the shoes. So when you have a problem, whom do you actually go? To the creator himself. So he started his prayers and thoughts process, something like that. And he found out that he not only survived the 3 years, he started living more. And thereafter he became a very successful businessman. He was manufacturing basically aeroplanes. He was manufacturing aeroplanes during the Second World War. Now, in the air raids in 1945, which happened where US was bombing them, he lost all his assets. So he was a millionaire. He became a millionaire. From a millionaire, he became zero. And he was having debts of almost lakhs of millions of yen. What he did was that he started again, a lot of miracles were there, and he started again working. And he paid all his debts. And once after he paid all his debts, at the age of 58, he had a huge fever and he went into a coma. That is the time when he was basically taken to the spiritual realm and all his revelations started. Actually, this entire history of Mai Carey starts at the age of 50. When he started, he was 58. So 1959 was when Mai Carey was established. And since he was a military man, he initially was very skeptical. He thought that, this is some sort of illusion he was having. And he kept on receiving revelations. He was not able to understand why it is happening. Then slowly he started writing it down. And then he started doing whatever he was told, raise the hand. So he initially was hesitant because it's something like tomorrow, I get something like that. And if I have to do like that, I also will get skeptical like that. So he started getting this thing. But then he started raising hand. He started seeing miracles after miracles. That is how this process started. And all this, what you see in Mai Carey is as per the divine revelations. So he went to the divine realm in 1974. So by the time he was given a certain particular mission, and he completed a certain part of the mission, and then he handed over to the next Oshinishi. Ma'am, the next slide. So the next Oshinishi is basically it is a lady. She is actually the adopted daughter of Tsukunishi-sama. Now, she was given 4 divine roles. One was like create a worship place, or rather a shrine for the creator God. And another 3 things were actually given to her. And she was under tremendous pressure because this was like something like a divine revelation, and it has to be done for the entire humankind. So she was able to complete that in 1984. She built the shrine for the creator God, which is called Suza. Su means God and Sa means the creator God. So this is the creator God's place where it's called Suza. I will show you the picture. And she completed all the necessary divine things which is to be completed as per the revelations. And on completion, she handed over this to the current spiritual head, who is known as Oshini-sama. And the 3rd slide. And the next slide. He is the current spiritual leader. Now, he was born in 1947, and he's not related to the second Oshinishi. Once she had told that he's going to be the successor, then she adopted him as the son. And he is now the current Oshinishi, and he's basically the one who basically does all the main things of whatever Mahikari does. Now, the next slide will show you where that shrine of Creator God. Now, this is called Suza. Now, this is situated in a place called Takeyama in Gifu Prefecture in Japan. Now, I have been there, and I will just put it like this. I really felt heaven there. The vibration which I'm not, it's not like, I go to some place and I get extremely spiritual or something like that. It's not like that. The first time I went to Suza, there was something very bad had happened just before that. I entered this place, the amount of vibration which I had, I didn't know. I was in tears. I started crying for almost 20 minutes. I don't know why. I couldn't stop my tears. The spiritual vibration of this place is amazing. So this is the Creator God's shrine. It's called Suza. And further, 1 or 2 pictures, I'll just share it. This is how it looks like from the side view. Next picture. And the next picture will give you slightly more how it looks like. This is how exactly it looks like. And there are ceremonies which are held, which is held at various times. And this is how normally when a ceremony day, during the recess, you will have such what you see is the Mahikari youth. You see in the uniform is actually Mahikari youth. I'll just talk about them a little bit later. So performing various things. And what you see right now, what you see is inside the Suza. This is how the Suza looks like. And around 7,000 to 8,000 people basically comes for the ceremony there. The next slide will give you how it looks like and what is there inside. Like this is how it looks like inside. It is not like the normal like temple or anything like that where it's not like that. This is how it is. And the shrine has got this particular thing. Now, I'll just share the various centers across the world. Now, these are the centers in India. One, what you see is in Mumbai and the other is in Cochin. The next one, which is there in Australia. Then one in Toronto. Then this is in Sao Paulo and Curitiba in Brazil. In fact, Brazil has got lots and lots of comités. We call the Mahikari members as comités. Lots and lots of Mahikari members. And there is one day in Brazil is known as the Mahikari Day, which is 27th February. They call it as the Mahikari Day. It is recognized like that. Then the next one, I showed you San Francisco, and this one is basically Penang and Italy. Rio, and then Penang and Italy. And okay, now, ma'am, just 1 minute. This is the Mahikari youth. Now, there is Mahikari lays a tremendous emphasis on the youth because they are the future. And when you are able to inculcate the Mahikari principles on the youth, then you will make them wonderful citizens. In fact, the initial years when I came to Mahikari, what amazed me was the Mahikari youth, because I was amazed by the way I was in defense. I was following, I knew what is discipline, I knew what all this, but here I was seeing a different dimension to all these things. You can do everything efficiently with gratitude, humility, acceptance, patience, and that really moved me. So Mahikari youth is all across the world. It is a part of Mahikari, and they have been able to contribute extremely great to the entire society. Now, I have finished basically a gist of the Mahikari. There is one more thing which Mahikari does, which I have not told you, is Mahikari has something called Yoko farming. Yoko farming is basically, you go for organic farming. With the farming, you give as I told you earlier, that you can basically give light. You can give light to the crops. There are a lot of stories, like you do organic farming. Along with that, when you give light, the amount, the type of food which comes out, tremendous. And when people are having that food, the feelings which they are having, and there are a lot of experience stories on that. I'm not personally sharing that. And one more thing is Mahikari has got something called Yoko Clinic. Again, there are doctors are there, but they follow the Mahikari principles. It is not that Mahikari doesn't tell that you should not go to the doctor, you should not, nothing like that. but it follows the Mahikari principles, and then you do that. And once you do that, then the result is slightly on a different dimension. Now, I will go to the next. If anybody has any questions, I will answer it. Otherwise, I'll start my experiences with Mahikari.
One question.
Yes.
Yeah. So, being like, with us, like, regression therapy or
Yes.
or homeopathy or, whatever. So when a person comes, there is a specific issue in the mind of the person, or, there are some suffering and
Yeah.
but now that, as we know, that this is not a healing practice, it is more of a purification.
Yes, ma'am.
But there are symptoms, and then you go to a doctor, right?
Yes.
So a person would go here, or they would come to this people when there is an issue in the life,
Yeah.
physical, financial, relationship, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So does it work like that? That okay, I went to the person with some issue, and then I received it, and then I saw the result. So the focus is not that. The emphasis is not to heal that.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
people will go with the problem, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how does that work?
Ma'am, everybody comes to the problem. Even when I went, it was with the problem. That is true. But yes, it happens, ma'am. But what happens is that, see, this light comes from a higher dimension. It has a wisdom on its own. See, I don't know. My life journey has been that I learned Mahikari first. Then I came to pranic healing. Then I went into the lower realms, or rather various practices. And when I went to when I going into the other practices, like if I'm taking 2.5 or some hours for other thing, here one normal lady or normal person, just by raising the hand, he's able to achieve the same thing without much of this thing. So that there is a divine wisdom which comes from that hand, and that particular thing definitely does that particular rectification process. See, as I told you, like you have a problem. Why that problem is happening? That problem is happening because there is a spiritual impurity in your spiritual cells. I just concentrate on your spiritual cells. I just cleanse that spiritual cells. When your spiritual cells is purified, automatically that property is absorbed by the physical cells. So you suddenly find, like, I have physically given light to a cancer patient, and I saw his cancer regressing. It's going down. Now, I reserve this comment basically because people will start telling that it is not like that. I never went with the aim to heal his cancer. I concentrated on purifying his spiritual aspect. I'm only looking at spiritual cells. Like when I'm giving light, what we are told is that purify his spiritual cells. You are focusing on the spiritual cells. That's all. Now, when his spiritual cells is purified, automatically the other things is happening. I don't have to tell. I don't have to tell, okay, light work like this, work like that. No, it is automatically happening. So this comes from a very high dimension. So I don't have to tell. Now, what you said, certain things are like the body points I told you. There are certain points are there, like, toxins are accumulating. Like what is actually happening? My body is full of toxins. No, I want to excrete it down. So there are certain things. Yes, it does there. But Mahikari clearly says, don't say it's healing, because then people will come with like, I have a headache here, please come and do like light is not like that. So that is the thing. It happens, ma'am. It happens as a byproduct. But when I share my experiences, you will just.
Thank you so much. I look forward for that. Yes.
So my.
But one thing I want to ask. Initially, you said it should not be done for the cancer patient, and now you're saying that you have done it.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that is no. I said pranic healing.
Yeah, that's.
I don't do pranic. I give light, ma'am. Light I give, like if you're able to give light to a dying patient, there is a methodology, like you can actually give up. I have given light to dying patient, and the experience the dying patient gave to this thing is something like, I'm just a tool. Sometimes I do not know what happens, but they have told a cancer patient, I gave it, and that guy, I didn't tell him because he was in a sick state. I gave light, and that person told, like it was my boss who was an admiral. He never believed in any of these things, like whatever I'm doing, I am a mad chap. So I gave it to, I asked him, his brother-in-law was dying. I asked him, sir, can I give? He said, yeah, do it. So I just gave him light. I gave him light. And after the light, so this brother-in-law tells him, he says, he's a very rich businessman. He says, imagine the best hotel in the world. and I am 10 times above that hotel. And I am, during that time, I feel I'm near God. So this is the experience what he told me. I didn't know anything. I just gave light. I went. Then the admiral calls me in the night. Here, I want to tell you something. This is what he told. What did he do? I said, sir, I don't know. I just gave light. That's all. Because I know that I am going with an altruistic attitude. All I am just basically doing is that his soul, when I receives light, his impurity level is basically coming down. It helps him transform from one state to another. This is what I do. So the experiences have been, I mean, ma'am, which actually made me like, sometimes like I don't generally tell everything in Navy because people will say I'm in uniform. I do like this. People will say this guy is crazy. So I have this. So I generally limit myself and I give it to select areas. That is the thing. So,
Yeah, Vinita ji, you wanted to ask question? You can ask now.
Thank you so much, Shakuntala ji and Captain Unikrishnan. Hats off to you, how you transformed from your past background to this. One is aware of your work. So congratulations. In this, you can touch so many more people.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm an army daughter. I'm Colonel Bengal Sapper's daughter. SDM Tatas and a cancer survivor.
Okay, ma'am.
So this story kind of linked up, but this is very interesting what you're doing. Coming back to your work, I'm very keen to know about your farming practices, and that is the way forward.
Ma'am, definitely, ma'am. Please connect to me, ma'am.
So I would like to know at the end of the course. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm very curious to know with the farming concept because I want to grow my own food.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, if you can connect with me, ma'am, if you can connect with me, that itself is a different topic, and definitely I will give you the requisite information for that, ma'am. I will definitely do that. So now I'll.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I'll just start with my experiences with my curry. As I told you, see, this thing started with fight, and every day I would ensure that I have criticized left, right, center. I said, you know, you do like this. This is some sort of spiritual cult. Japanese technology of basically doing this management, Japanese management technology. You are falling for this. You are mad. You are. I don't know what I was getting worried. She's going in some sort of sannyasin way or something like that. And here I am coming for IVF and all these things. So then I was in Bombay. She was in Kollam and she was doing studies here. And at the same time, there is a center here in Kollam. And she used to go and receive light. And that is where she picked up all these things. So I came here. Then she dragged me. She said, you got to come receive light. I said, I'm not coming. She said, no, you should come. So I went. And I was made to receive light. I never felt anything. But I felt a little good, you know. It's like something like if somebody gives you a massage, then you feel good, no? Something like that. So I said, okay, good, very good, yeah. So every day she will drag me. I will go, I will receive light, thumbs up, no problem. Again, our debate continued. So when I had come for this particular problem, there was a problem at my office. Very big problem. I was being victimized for something which I never did. There were fights between my boss and the boss's boss. And somehow I came into picture and they were playing with me, and that boss's boss told me that I will ensure that your career is written off. And I was too worried because I didn't do anything wrong. And I was playing victim for this entire thing. I didn't know what to do. I was absolutely at my low level when I came here to Kollam during the holidays. I received light for 20 days. And then I went back from leave. I went. The day I landed in Bombay, by the time I was in Bombay. The day I landed in Bombay, then the person, one officer calls me. He said, he just come here. He said, see, your report has gone. Last minute, they decided that, you will be given a good report. And he told me what number he has given and all. And that was a good report. So I didn't know what to say. I didn't do anything. And that was the first, like, as I was telling, the surroundings started changing. I didn't know what to say. So that first experience hit me. So I felt something is there. Then my wife told, the center is in Kandivali, in Bombay. She said, you go to Kandivali. I said, by God, Kandivali is 2 hours. I was staying in Colaba. And from Colaba to Kandivali, I said, 2 hours. Are you mad? And that also I had to go all the way. She said, no, you go once. So I went to Kandivali center. First time I spent Then I felt I should go back again. I don't know why. I felt like going back again. This went on for some time. I started going every Sunday. I used to go. And my wife had come for PG preparation here. And we were planning for kids. We were waiting for delaying the PG because wanting to have kids. Now kids were also not there. PG was also not there. So she said, let me do PG. Now, now there's a problem. If she's getting PG, she can be anywhere in the country. And I will be at Bombay. So what to do? And just before I came, while this was going on, I met in a naval party, a medical doctor, Navy's medical doctor. He just comes to me and he's a very senior person. He just comes to me, he just talks to me, just like that. Then he said, then where's your wife? I said, my wife is a doctor and she's doing like, basically this thing. Then he said, why don't she join the naval hospital in Bombay? I said, but sir, she's a civilian. No, now, this year onwards, they are giving admissions for civilian. I said, is it possible? Oh, yes, you can go. I came here to Bombay. I applied for the admission. I went to that place. Now that particular person says, is your wife from Bombay University? I said, no. Then we will not give you the application form. I said, sir, please give me the application form. Let us try. No, we will not give you. I don't know what to do. Within 1 week, this office, that officer was changed and the officer whom I met was transferred here. Like some sort of miracle arrangements. He came, I went to him. I said, sir, you told me this thing. He gave me the application form. Actually, as per the rules, only Bombay University they accept. They accepted my wife's application. And then she, again, there was an entrance test. The first time they're conducting it for civilians and all the ex-army guys. So I've seen this type of test. There is always some sort of rigging was always there. Like it was favoring for the people who were there in this thing. So I thought she will not get it. She came out of the 60, she came 16 or something like that. So we were excited. But again, they placed her last because she was not from Bombay University. And she wanted pathology, she wanted non-clinical subjects. And she was basically very, very sad about it. And suddenly, the last subject which is there is sociology or something called radiation medicine. She started crying. I said, let's take something. And radiation medicine was basically a diploma. He said, she said, I don't want this. Let's see what happens. So radiation medicine ultimately turns out to be nuclear medicine. It was like God's way of telling us. And, basically God's way of telling us. So she was placed at the Naval Hospital, which is precisely 5 minutes from where we are. And the IVF treatment, we were starting. So now, again, the IVF treatment we were starting. So we were fresh. We were just joined Mahikari. No, I'll just give one more story before joining Mahikari. So this light, I was receiving light. She was receiving light. And my wife said, I want to join Mahikari. I said, well, no problem. And she said, you also join. I said, no, I'm not joining. There was only one reason for that. See, there was a financial expenditure of 5,000 rupees for one person joining because this divine pendant comes from Japan. And there was a financial involvement of 5,000 rupees. So 5,000 rupees for one person and 5,000 rupees for me, 10,000 rupees. It was in 2003. And never in my entire life, I spent any such money for any spiritual purpose. मैंने बोला यार नहीं होता. तो पहले तुम join करो, मैं फिर देखेंगे. So I knew that things were happening in life. I knew, but again, I was not fully convinced. So while this was happening, she joined. She said, okay, she had given the money. She said, okay, this course is going to happen. And during that time, I used to travel by bike and she used to travel by car to the Naval Hospital. So one day I'd take the car. I took the car. So I dropped her at the hospital in Colaba. And there is a Maruti 800. And that time we had purchased a small phone, Nokia phone around 6,000 or 7,000 rupees, very small phone that is the latest at that time. And she took that phone and placed on the roof of the car. She took the coat, she put the coat, she went inside. I didn't know, I was driving. Now anybody who's from Bombay can correlate this. All the way from Colaba, I'm driving almost 7-8 kilometers through Colaba Causeway, turns, traffic lights, all these things, the heavy traffic comes all the way. I come inside the naval dockyard, gate, traffic security gate at the gate. I come inside, I come to my office, open the door, and I see the mobile in the roof of the car. And the first signal it hit me was that as if God is telling me, son, it takes 10 seconds for your 6,000 rupees to vanish. I took the phone. I said, I'm joining. This was the first miracle which I was given first hand. Now, interestingly, it was MTNL. Entire Colaba is full MTNL range. Frantically, when she discovered that the phone is not there, she started calling left, right, center. It was in vibration come mode. It never even registered one missed call. It could have vibrated out. Even today, I cannot explain how it was there. But that was my welcome scene for Mahikari. So I came and I joined Mahikari. I started giving light, all these things. So a lot of very small things had happened. Now I'll come to the big story. We were not having children. So we went for IVF. And before IVF, we were given a guidance, spiritual guidance, which was given to us. Basically, they said, see, why don't you try getting light for some more time and then you try it. By the time we were 35 and we were not ready to wait, because it is now between the realism and the idealism, or rather the belief and this thing. Still, we are not, ye bachcha ho jayega, pata nahi. So we said, ma'am, we can't wait at that point of time. So what we decided, we went for, they said, okay, you pray and go. So we went for IVF. They put the IVF, and within I started giving light, and the experience which I had was like, after conceiving my entire, I can feel the energy being drawn by that 4 souls. And within 1 month, she is a fragile person. Within 1 month, that 4 babies had grown to that level that suddenly the doctor said that they had to go for reduction. I said, what is reduction? They said, we will just put some acid or something inside baby's heart. My God, I don't know what to do. And they said, but we didn't have a choice. We had to go for that. We reduced 2 baby. And 3.5 months, we lost the remaining 1 baby. And the 5.5 months, the last baby was also lost. And she went through lots of problems, perforation in the uterus. I don't know. It went into an extreme state where it entered a bloodstream infection. And I didn't know what to do at that point of time. So I just basically prayed to God. I said, I do not know what you're doing with me, but please permit me to keep the faith in you. This is what I prayed. And immediately after that, within no time, she recovered. And then we decided that in this lifetime, we will not have IVF kids. We don't want children because we are very selfish. Perhaps in this lifetime, our job is to help people. We said, no problem. There was a lot of pressure from home. We said, we will not have any distance. So humne chhod diya. 1 year went like that. So she never conceived normally. So we never bothered. They said you should check your uterus regularly. We said nothing doing. We never bothered. We were giving light. We were receiving light. We were going like that. So after 1 year, exactly after 1 year, she was standing in the Colaba bus stand, and one lady, old lady, comes to her and asks suddenly out of the blue, "Ye aap ye Navy ka hospital mein doctor hai na?" So she says, "Yes." "Aapka bachcha hai kya?" He said, "Nahi. Ye aapka bachcha hone wala hai, wo aapko bahut sukh de denge." And suddenly this lady vanishes. So she didn't understand because there are so many people standing there and she didn't understand that. After next day, she goes to the department. She says, there's another doctor comes to her and says that, "See, I saw a dream yesterday and I saw you at the labor room and I saw you delivering a baby boy. It was so real. I had to come and tell you." So she was, she again suddenly back to back. She was feeling, what is happening? So she gave that I had just gone to that time Jamnagar for some duty, and she gave a call to me. She said, "Yaar, aise ho raha hai. Don't laugh. Shall I go and check?" I said, "Please go and check." Yeah. She was 1.5 months pregnant. Now we were panicking because now the state, my father had gone to all astrologers. They said, "You will never have children." The doctors had certified that you will never have children. Now she is conceived now. Now the department which she is working is a nuclear medicine department. And if you are pregnant, you are not supposed to be in the department. Now already 1 month has passed. And if this particular thing has not come, we didn't know, we wouldn't have even known. So there was an arrangement. Now, the moment we started receiving, then we panicked. So karna kya? Abhi to matlab kuch medical nahi gaya. You'll not believe. My son started receiving light from that time. I used to give, so you can give the light to the womb and the baby will receive that light. I used to feel that tremendous pull when I used to give light to him. He used to receive light. And invariably from that day we started. And by 3.5 months, she was detected with gestational diabetes, and she is told that she can't eat. And she survived with 1 chapati, 1 roti, and one fish. That was the food which she can have. In spite of all these problems, and like she was going to the naval hospital itself, and she knew all the doctors, and they looked at her history and they said, I don't know how you became pregnant. I don't know. We don't know. What is this? And she delivered him 2.4 kg, and all he had was only light. My son was only light, nothing else. So this for me, my father and my parents had decided when we were practicing Mahikari, they thought that we have left Hinduism and we are going in some sort of, cult practices and, Christianity or something like that. They don't know. And they were in favor for us when she conceived 4 babies. And when she lost the babies, they turned back from that to this. But when this happened, they didn't know. Because they know that medically not possible, astrologically not possible, but she had conceived. So for us, every day I look at my son, the miracle of God, or rather that power, what is basically there, always reminds me about that. So this is the greatest miracle. Like there have been up to number of cases in my life where I have been giving light and I have been seeing miracles after miracle. And every time it was reminding me of something or other. Now we had a care coordinator by the name who was basically helping us when in our initial stages. Her name was Usha Purohit, and she was a High Court lawyer. So while she used to nurture us. So she was basically telling her own story. She was an atheist, complete atheist, family atheist, everybody atheist. So they don't believe in God. And she says she was at the age of 39, she was having a BP at 180 by 120, and she has to take tablets. And she said without that, she cannot survive. Her father had died because of heart attack, and father's father had also has died because of that. And the family history is something like that. So she said she used to have a friend, and this friend used to go to some place suddenly. So one day they said, okay, where are you going? She said, okay, you also come along. So they had gone to the center, this Mahikari center. So when she went there, somebody asked, shall I give you light? She said, I didn't want to embarrass my friend, so I went and received light. The moment she started receiving, she was narrating to us. She said, I was feeling hot, very, very, very hot, extremely hot. I didn't know what to do. And after the light stopped, she said that went. So she felt curious. So she again came, again the same experience was there. After 3 days, she decided that she will stop the Goli for the high BP. And within 1 week, her high BP became normal BP, 120 by 80. She must be 77 now. By 70, 73, 70, she BP again, the old age thing. But otherwise, her BP was normal. Now, what I want to tell you here is that it is not that all BP patients go and then their BP will come down. It doesn't happen like that. Now, God decides that a person of an atheist has to be given a higher miracle or something which is unexplainable to come to that level. So it is something which defies the logic. I used to give light to a lot of people. Like I was telling that I was giving light to a cancer patient. So I used to go to the naval hospital. He was admitted. So chup-chap karke main jata tha, main ye deta tha. So one day I was coming down and I saw one of my postmates who was standing down. He said, what are you doing here? I said, see, I had come for some spiritual things. He was never letting me go. Then I explained, see, something like, Mahikari, light and all is there. He said, yeah, can you help me? I said, what happened? Yeah, my father has been detected with rectum cancer. And can you just give him light? I said, okay. He's going to have a surgery tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. He's going to be admitted tonight. And tomorrow, can you come and give light? I said, okay. And I was having a lot of official commitments. I said, okay, I'll come. Next day, I was too busy. I couldn't go. And he again caught me in the evening in one of the places. He said, yeah, you told me you'll come. I said, okay, I'm having some official party, but in between I'll manage some 10 minutes. I will come. Please tell your dad. So I went there. So his father is admitted in a officer's ward, which is basically not a single thing. It is having a lot of people. No, I had to stand there and give light. No, people will all looking at me. So I told uncle, I will chant some Japanese prayer. You just keep quiet. After 10 minutes, I will tell you, open your eyes and then I'll go. He said, okay. I gave light. I finished that session. He says, you just come here, just come here. I said, what happened, uncle? He says, I'm feeling that that thing is going down and it is, you feel my rectum. It is very hot now. He says, I could feel the entire thing going down. So he was not letting me go. He took my hand and he put my hand into his rectum. You see how hot it has become. So for me, I'm a tool. For me, this was like direct experiences with what is actually the manifestation of light I'm seeing in a physical realm. I was posted on board the ship. So there was a case of one sailor came to me. So this my department knows that I do something like some things like that. So one chap comes to me. He comes to me saying that, sir, I have a problem. I said, what happened? Sir, I snore loudly, and in the night, he will get up something like, he'll just get up and he will start shouting left, right, center and all. So what is happening is that, ships, you have small bunkers. So there are only 2 or 3, the space is limited. So these guys come after a duty. This chap, middle of the night, will start shouting and they say, you're spoiling our sleep. So they said, we can't sleep. So they said, this officer does something, you go there. Sir, can you do something? I said, see, I said, I'm not a magician or something like that. All I do is this. I will give you this. I gave him one session of light. Next day he comes back. I said, what happened now? Sir, I didn't have a problem. Can you please give me light again today? So invariably, ship was sailing. His cellmates used to send him compulsorily to me so that I give him light. Again, like I am a tool. I'm just saying gratitude. I'm receiving this. We were having missile firing. Now this missile, in the Navy, when you are doing this missile firing, it is a big thing because the CO, if the missile is a hit, the CO makes it. If the missile misses, CO misses it. So the missile is a big thing. And the ship which I was there, it is not a new ship, it is a slightly older ship, Russian ship. And then the missile hit has to have 1 lakh combinations in the sense that if everything has to go normal, 1 lakh combination has to work properly. Anything can go wrong, and it is a age-old system. So I just follow the principle, just give light every day, just give the light to this thing. And before the missile, I told my boss, I said, sir, can I come and give you, light? He said, okay, go ahead. I just gave him light. I never told him anything else. We had a bullseye. Bullseye means nobody can explain how it went. That's why because I cannot explain this in the naval fraternity because they will say that I am mad. But I know what is actually, I have seen the electrical and the network part, I know. And I know what could have gone wrong. This actually happened 2 times. And there is to be another practice which I used to do. We were in the Bay of Bengal. And the Bay of Bengal, the waters are very choppy, very, very choppy. And every day I used to go to the deck of the ship, I used to purify. I used to pray to Lord Varuna. And I used to purify the entire sea. And I used to pray. And I used to express my apology to all the beings in the sea. Basically telling that because when the ship is moving, we are disturbing their environment. And that thing, I am apologizing on behalf of the ship. I used to do it every day. We never had choppy seas. And it doesn't explain, because Bay of Bengal is an area where you will always have choppy seas. I was sailing in a year, I was sailing 300 days, I sailed in 364 days. And we never had choppy seas. We had smooth sailing. We had smooth, absolutely smooth, as if it is like, so my experiences, I just told you major experiences, but there are like plenty. I don't think this forum can take all those stories, but these are the major things which I just noted down so that you all know what is it. And before I end, I'll just take till 1 minute to basically tell the takeaways what I had from this entire thing. So then you can go for the final sessions. See, the first takeaway which I had was that spirituality applies to all the aspects of life and it helps even a common householder like you and me to practice it without resorting to becoming a renunciate or a sannyasin. See, that was the belief I had. Like if you want to practice spirituality, I used to believe that you have to renunciate everything and then go. But Mahikari taught me that you are spiritual. A homemaker can be as spiritual as a homemaker when she does her things properly. When she is doing with that particular thing, she is actually spiritual. She's a spiritual person. You don't have to go to a temple. You don't have to go to do all these things. But it gives you a normal life. At the same time, you lead a spiritual life. Then I realized that practicing gratitude, humility, and acceptance is more difficult than you think. Because when the slide used to come, I used to think practicing gratitude, let's try it. It is not easy. It is very difficult. It is a universal principles, but it is very difficult to practice it. But when you practice it, the change which happens inside you, the change which happens around you, amazing. The spiritual, astral, and physical realms are, very, they are very intricately woven. What Mahikari has helped me is that, like I do more than Mahikari, I do other healing practices also. It has made me understand my spiritual discernment I'm able to discern what is to be applied and what is not to be applied, because these three realms, that clarity I've been able to get that clarity in that. So this has helped me in other practices also. Then maintaining a good innermost attitude. And at the same time, when you receive and give light, it helps your spiritual progress very fast. And one of the offshoots of what I had was that my understanding about Hinduism. I never, in the typical South Indian family, what you do is go to the temple, pray for your family, that's it. This is what I used to do. So I never, more than that, I didn't know what is Hinduism was. But after Mahikari, my understanding about Hinduism actually improved. Rather, I could delve more deeper into it. Mahikari is not about sermons. It's basically you have to practice, and you have to become a role model. Mahikari says that you have to be very strict to yourself and extremely soft to the other person. And I've seen that when you become a role model, and then that translates into the other person. Like I've got attracted to the people in the Mahikari center by seeing them, because they were so strict to themselves, but very soft, very soft. So that has attracted me, and it's about how you practice it. So when you start practicing in your life, you will find changes. Then each time you progress spiritually, your understanding and perspective of all things around you changes. I give this example to everybody. As you see, this is a specs. Now I wear the specs. I take the specs and I put it in a mud, and I take it and put it. Now what I see is full black. And somebody from there asked me, Unni, what do you see? I see black. Now that chap is trying to explain to me, no, this is a room, is full fan, light and all. I don't know. He shouts at me, can't you see? I said, no, I can't see because I'm seeing is black. Then he just comes and just rolls his finger here. I see something. Yes, I see, I can see something. And slowly, as he removes the dirt, then you find that, yes, this is a beautiful room. Now, this is how spirituality is. When you have muck, you cannot see. So if somebody is not believing, somebody is not understanding, that is okay, because he's not able to see that. So if he has to understand, then you have to remove this slowly. Then he will have a different perspective. He sees things in a different dimension. So this is what Mahikari has taught me. Another thing is that when upstream is purified, downstream is automatically purified. See, the spiritual realm, when you purify, it automatically, and Mahikari explains in a beautiful way. It says that imagine there is a lake. There's a lake upstream, and that lake is full of muck. Now, that muck comes down to the downstream. So if you want everlasting cleanliness, you go to the upstream. You purify that upstream thoroughly, and then you will find that particular thing clears, and then slowly downstream this thing. It applies something like this. Like my son's behavior starts improving when I start becoming spiritually more purified. Or my father starts getting purified, that difference will come into me. So there's one thing which I have not told about is that when you receive light, all your ancestral realm is also receiving light at the same time. So this is something which, lack of time, so I just didn't tell this. So this is something which happens. So when you're receiving light, it's not only you are receiving light, your entire lineage is receiving light. And that reflects on the entire family. So that's what the upstream, when it's purified, the downstream automatically gets purified. So this principle in Mahikari is very much applicable. And deeper understanding the spirit world, the divine plan and its various arrangements. And most importantly, I felt is that, you can connect to the universe in the sense that when you start practicing in a very, systematically, and then you will start getting signals from the universe, like you were able to decipher it. That is something like you had to experience it. It might be some sideboard. It might be some people coming and sitting and telling some keywords. Those, you will be able to decipher that. This is something which you have to experience it. Rather, when I tell that, might not be able to understand it, but this I have experienced it, so that's why I'm telling this. Now, these are my awakening and takeaway. And the last is, these are the books which is available, which will tell you more into MyGari, which is available commercially. And you can basically go through it. And MyGari is a huge topic. I have tried to summarize it as little as possible. But if anybody has any questions, you may please.
Question. Unni, I have a question.
Captain Unni, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Please may I ask?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Please, please.
Captain Unni, I just wanted to know, can you practice other things also?
Yes, ma'am.
Like Akashic reading and other things besides this?
Ma'am, MyGari never tells you that only follow MyGari.
Okay.
Because see, I wouldn't have joined MyGari if MyGari was telling, don't do this, don't do that. This is not correct, that is not correct. No. This is one of the spiritual practices. You are only guided. Thereafter, you do what you want. That's a different thing. But spiritually, as you are climbing up, you will understand what is good, what is bad. They will not tell you anything.
I would certainly like to know about the center in Gurgaon. Even I'm putting up there. So I would like to be in touch.
Gurgaon, yes, there is a wonderful committee there. I will give you his address. They will further guide you, ma'am. Very wonderful people.
Thank you.
I have
Thank
received
you so
lot of guidance from lot of my initial part was guided by a lot of such wonderful people, wonderful people who actually had a extraordinary influence in my life. So something which I never thought which existed, they taught me. And actually from the defense background, like what the difference, main difference, what I have seen is that, see, in defense, you do things. And when you do things, you do it with power. You implement it like, I want to do something, I just do it. And I will use all abusive languages, whatever language, but I just do with that particular thing. It might be shouting, it might be anything. Now, that is what was efficiency in my terms. I came to MyGari, you don't have to do any of these things. 180-degree opposite. Even with a smile and calm, composed, you can do much more than what can be done. Now, this was what I had practiced. Because I was coming from an environment where things are all, the normal galis you can see in the entire universe is called there. And then I am coming to this particular place where absolutely different. I am finding the efficiency, everything is same. So I was more drawn to towards that. So that made me practice into that type of practice. And that is what has been like, it's been almost 19 years plus, and still I'm in that and I'm happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Unni, I have a question too.
Yes.
So I found out that the nearest location from where I live is, I think, Long Beach.
Okay.
And so I was wondering if I might not be able to go there every day to take the divine light, the true light. Yeah. But if I wanted to learn, I just attend a 3-day program and
yeah. You please connect to them. They will guide you. All you have to do is just go there. They will guide you. Each region will guide you accordingly. All you have to tell is that, I heard about MyGari from a friend of mine. I want to receive light. As I told you, don't feel obliged. They'll be more than happy to help you. They will guide you. From there onwards, they will guide you. What you tell what you want, they will guide you. It's no problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was
So I think this
wonderful.
Anything else, ma'am? Anybody wants any other
questions? Also.
I think a lot of.
Yes, Unni.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask? I'm based in London, and I'm looking on the internet and I can't find any.
Ma'am, I've been to London. I personally have gone to the London dojo. I will give you the address.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I've been to the London. Whenever I travel abroad, I make it a point to go to the MyGari center. And I used to get tremendous support. I mean, as if they were there waiting for me. So
Okay.
I will give you the London Center. We have been there. I
Okay, thanks.
actually had a picture of London Center. I didn't put it because lack of space. That is the reason.
Okay, thank you.
So I think wonderful. Unmiji has introduced us to a wonderful practice. And I think what I've understood.
Ma'am,
if you connect it to Ved and Quran,
yes,
and
ma'am.
of course the Hindu scriptures, what I
Yes, ma'am.
understand is that if you are in Satchidanand,
Yes, ma'am.
other person Satchidanand,
Ma'am, that
then
part,
obviously there is going to be transference of light.
ma'am, I didn't get that. There was a disturbance.
Yeah, I think.
मैम आपकी वॉइस थोड़ी इसमें क्लियर नहीं है एंड द टर्म इज सत चित आनंद
I'm on this.
Yeah, now good.
Now,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Now it's okay?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, I can hear you.
Yes.
All right. So what I was thinking as Unmiji was talking is that we have the 5, koshas, right? And Annamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if I'm connecting to the Annamaya Kosh of another person, I'm connecting to that person at a very bodily level. And that is where doubt can come in.
Yes, ma'am.
That's my hands like this. And how is it happening? Right? But if the person who is giving light,
Yes, ma'am.
connecting at the highest kosha, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Anandamaya Kosh,
Yes, ma'am.
is only giving Anand or love,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Then the opposite person's Anandamaya Kosh will receive it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think the transference of light is happening at the highest.
Correct, ma'am.
Really how the transference is taking place.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're going to think of it at a very bodily level, then you cannot understand it.
No.
Then what Urvi was concerned about, that, this person's karma and that person's karma, and, how are we going to, maybe I'm going to impact the other person's karma. Yes, sir, at the level of the body, you are thinking. But if you understand that the subtlest realm is light, right? We are actually light beings. We are not physical beings. So if you understand that each one of us is nothing but a light being, then transference of light can take place. That is my understanding, what Unmiji has just said. That
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think we have to change our perspective of
Ma'am, what you said is right.
we are not the body. So I think that is what we have to understand. Then I think our doubts, self-doubts, and ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? How can I transfer light from the palms? I think you can transfer light from anywhere, but I think the hand is only an easy way of transference. Unmiji, what do you say?
Ma'am, that's why I'm saying, ma'am, because once I'm into all this healing practices also. So I start connecting it, what is what. So what he says, like, ma'am, like I have not gone to the Annamaya, all these koshas, exactly the same principle. That's why I said when I told that I understood Hinduism better, started understanding better, ma'am, there is no difference in the Hinduism concept and this. Only one thing, you are able to do a light which is equivalent to active compensation. What in our normal life, we go through passive compensation. You go through the passive compensation and then you rise. In this case, because of certain reasons, you are allowed to do active compensation, which it's something like it's not a shortcut. It helps you to transfer the process on the faster side. That's all. So the principles are all same. It's all same. As and when you're getting more and more, I started to understand because Mahikari explains it very simply, very in a simple fashion. So I am able to understand. So I used to give lectures to my parents on a Hinduism. So because I'm able to understand this concept very easily. So it is on the same lines, ma'am. There's no much of a difference.
Absolutely, Unniji, what you have explained, if you understand the theory of the 5 koshas or the 5 layers,
Yes, ma'am.
see, there are people who are connected only at the bodily level.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So I am connecting to somebody at the body level.
Yes, ma'am.
I will have a certain cord, just to give a simple example, like a cord
Yes,
that is
ma'am.
connecting to the khana khilana hai. So
Yes,
it is at the body level,
Yes, ma'am.
right? I can have an entire relationship through my entire life with my child only at the bodily level. भाई तुम एग्जाम कर लो, तुम पढ़ाई कर लो, तुम जॉब ले लो, तुम अच्छा पैसा कमा लो, have buy a house. I am not interested in the child's spiritual growth.
Yes, ma'am.
So I can be connected to somebody only at the body level. I can be connected to somebody only at the mind level. Thought, right? I'm only thinking of my child. भाई उसका अच्छा हो, उसका भला हो, ठीक है? I can be connected to somebody like a teacher or anybody, right?
Yes,
Or a father or a grandfather, only because there is some exchange of knowledge.
Yes, yes, yes.
But there is not love, there is exchange of knowledge. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. And I can be connected to another person. So there are different levels at which we are connecting to people. Na?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what Unnichi, I think, is trying to tell us is, without any desire of return, I am only connecting to the opposite person with pure love. That's all. Okay, and that love is being transmitted through light. And in effect, each one of us, as we say, we are all spiritual beings having a physical experience, as the saying goes. So we are spiritual beings, we are light beings. We have just come into this costume for the time being, right? So I think that philosophy or that spiritual understanding, if we have, transference of love and light can take place. So I think that's what I've understood.
Yes, ma'am. What you said is like, ma'am, like I could correlate to the story when you told about your father. You were telling, no, I was basically correlating. See, this is something connected to, like, that's why I said, see, like, when I hear a case about a person, I decipher it at 3 levels: the spiritual level, the astral level, the physical level, and how is it interconnected. So my calling for this past life regression is also basically because most of the things are connected to your past life. So how is it connected is what is that quest which I was having. Why is it happening? Or that was the reason, one of the main reason why the inner calling was
there. I'm really happy that you came for the training. And I know that you're going to take past life therapy forward in a beautiful way, because you will combine these things together and work with it.
I will be doing it, ma'am. And 2026, I will be out of service, and from there, I will be totally in a different role.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Welcome to this world of spiritual.
There is a group
understanding.
In this current group, like you have told, a lot of us are now doing MA psychology. We are all waiting to be enrolled in IGNOU, as you told. Around 4 or 5 are there. So changed my line, like from this thing. Another 4 years, I'm shifting totally out.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you so much. You and your wife both, please have a lovely life, and your wonderful son, who is the son of light, and that is so beautiful. And thank you everybody for being present here. We had a lovely large group today, and next week is going to be just before the new year. I've invited a wonderful speaker next week who has just come in contact with me, and he's going to be talking on the soul journey and the Bhagavad Gita. So I have this wonderful speaker who's going to be coming in next Thursday. Please be present, and we can wish each other Happy New Year next Thursday also. Okay?
Thank you.
So thank you so much, everyone.
And
continue to connect.
I should tell Shakuntala ma'am also, you took a wonderful class last week, ma'am. I didn't know anybody, but it was so this thing. I written down notes, and before you send the notes, I didn't know you'll be sending the notes. But thank you, ma'am. It was the way you were explaining it is like such a complicated topic. It was so easy to understand. And my wife was that day I was at my home, and my wife was asking, "What are you so keenly? You are so much, so writing it down." So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Lovely.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much.
Thank
everybody,
you
for
so
being
much.
around.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Permitting
Thank
me
you
to-
so much. Thank you,
It's been
everybody.
great.
Permitting me to give this